I'm Zeb Eckert with Community Media, and we're pleased today to have with us Debbie Little. She's Director of Operations for the CARES program, which provides needed services to homeless individuals and families in Adams County and has done so for the past 10 years. The program launches this week. Debbie, it's a pleasure to have you here.
Well, thank you for having us.
Congratulations on your 10-year anniversary.
Well, thank you. Thank you. It started out as a dream, and some community members saw the need, and with area churches, were able to put this program with many, many moving parts and many, many volunteers together, and we've just hit our 10th year, so that's exciting.
Would you tell us how the program has grown? But first, for those who are not familiar with CARES, tell us what it stands for and how it works.
Okay, Gettysburg CARES is a program that started, like I said, 10 years ago, and the CARES stands for Community Area Resources for Emergency Services. And that's exactly what it is. It's a bunch of community organizations getting together to provide the emergency services. Without the churches, our guests go and spend 2 weeks at one church, and then various churches move every 2 weeks. And without the volunteers and the churches providing this service, we could not house our guests.
It strikes me that in Adams County, it's so unique because no one should go homeless at night.
Correct.
With your program. And that's very unique compared to other counties. Can you talk about kind of how important this group effort is among churches, the collaboration, and the effort that it takes to run this program every evening in the winter?
It's essential. When I first came into this programming, I actually started as a host on the church side, so I knew that side of it. And then when I got into more of the intricate part, it's just amazing because you have laundering of blankets, cleaning of mats. You have various churches that you're moving from. You have 2 overnight volunteers that you must have on every night to be able to provide this service. You have hosts. You have people providing breakfast. There's a lot of moving parts. We have a resource center that allows our guests to get showers, do laundry, make light meals, utilize the computer, get case management in order to, at the end of our season, because we are a cold weather shelter, that means we open in October and we close in April. And when we close our doors in April, our goal and our guest goal is to have everyone placed, hopefully we're able to get their housing voucher, find an apartment, whatever it needs, that they do not leave the CARES program homeless.
Tell me a few stories of individuals who've come through your program, and what do they tell you? How life-saving is this resource to people in our area?
Oh, it's very life-saving because we deal sometimes with abused people. We deal with people that have been sleeping in their cars, freezing. I mean, we've heard it all, and everybody has a story. It's not always something that they've chose to do. Sometimes life just happens, and there's this support mechanism that can help them until they can get on their feet. They might not have the family support system, whatever. I can think of, we've had people stay in our shelter that would leave with triple-figure jobs at the end of the season. That was not the norm, but they might have gone through a divorce, lost their home, many things. We've had aged couples that were maybe in an abusive situation where they were living and have come to our doors, and we were able to get them into their own apartment. And, it was really exciting because for the first time in their lives, their married lives, they had their own apartment and were dependent upon no one but themselves. And that, when you're having people tell you what to do all the time and what you can do and what you cannot do, that it was so refreshing for them. And we were able to help them get to that place in their lives. So it was very rewarding for us. It's exciting. It's not exciting to have a homeless, but it's exciting when you have all the success stories. And we've, at CARES, have had many success stories. When we closed our doors last year, there was no one that did not have a place to go. except for one person that had already had their housing voucher. So all they needed to do was locate that apartment that would take their voucher, and they were good to go. And I've talked to them various times since then, and they were successful in that.
Debbie, we hear so much on the news about inflation, the cost of living crisis that's plaguing not only the United States, but countries around the world. And you hear these stories of desperation, particularly this year. Do you expect an increased number of clients coming through your doors? And what are the early indications you're hearing about 2022, the 2023 season for CARES that may set it apart from other years that you've operated?
Well, in the last 2 years, we've had something because of COVID. We've required vaccinations to be part of our program. And this is a personal choice. And some people are okay getting vaccines, or they have the vaccines, but there's other people that choose not to. So I think right now that is one of the bigger areas that dictates what our attendance will be. We are open, able, and ready to go. So I think the fact that there are vaccinations can separate some of the attendance that we would normally have. And we're hoping that this is the last year that we have to require vaccinations, that COVID gets more in the rearview mirror, and that we can quit worrying about that.
What have you learned over the years in your time volunteering, but also working as a staff member, about best practices or how to improve the program?
Well, that's a daily quest, I believe. You know, as we go through each day, we see where we can improve. I think it's always nice to look at your programming, find out, and talking with the guests, because that's where you learn a lot. What's working on their side and what's not working on their side. So I think it's just listening, you know, just listening to the community, listening to our guests, and looking at our own insight into the programming, and just doing whatever we can to make it better.
How supportive has local government been, local elected officials, townships, municipalities, our boroughs, and the county level?
Well, we don't have a lot of one-on-one interaction with any of those areas, but they've been very supportive. You know, they will interact with our guests, they will talk to us. There's been no zoning rules. We've been good to go.
From a funding perspective, what are your needs, and where does your primary funding come from, and what kind of funding needs do you anticipate for the future?
Well, that's interesting because we are not grant-based at all. We do not get any government funds whatsoever. We are totally funded by this community. The Giving Spree is coming up on November 3rd, so that's a very good time to remember Gettysburg Cares, because we provide everything for our guests pretty much in toiletries, shampoos, soaps, deodorants, anything that you would need in a toiletry, we make available to them. We also provide all the laundry detergents, you know, softening things in the laundry. We provide all that for our guests. We provide meals if someone has none, you know. We provide breakfast for our guests. We currently are utilizing a voucher system for breakfast, where they get a voucher, can go to like Ernie's or Dunlap's and get breakfast, and they just bill us for the vouchers. And some of the restaurants don't even bill us. Ernie's last year just kept the bill and went on, you know. Wow. They never charged us, basically, is what I was trying to say.
That's fantastic. So you've seen community businesses rally to the cause.
Right. So financial would be my best advice is, you know, Giving Spree is coming up. That's where our money doubles. That's a biggie. But financial donations are wonderful. And then we've had, you know, some people drop off toiletries or toilet paper. You know, you must imagine the amount of toilet paper and paper towels and garbage bags that we go through in a season. So that's always greatly needed. And towels, washcloths. We just had 1863 Hotel, the Inn of 1863, donate blankets. We've had some Vera Bradley donation of blankets. So it's those kind of things is what makes us continue to be able to operate on the shoestring that we operate on, because, like I said, we are community supported. There is no government funding in anything that we do.
And if the public wants to donate materials to the cause, how can they do so? Where?
Okay, we are located at 117 York Street. Our telephone number is 717-334-4195. Please don't hesitate to call. We can make arrangements. We can make a time. We're very flexible, and we can see if what you're donating is applicable to what our guests need.
And a final question for you. It strikes me that the human capital here is incredible. The commitment of volunteers and the capacity to serve. What do you think the legacy of this program is for those who not only volunteer for it, but see their lives changed because of CARES?
That's an excellent question. I think warm and fuzzy is what comes to my mind first and foremost for the overnight guests or the overnight volunteers that make it possible for the guests to spend the night at the church, because without the overnight volunteers, we couldn't do it. And volunteering is very easy for Gettysburg Cares. It's a matter of filling out some paperwork and looking at a PowerPoint. And we are in need of overnight volunteers currently. The more volunteers we have for overnight, the less we need to depend on a few. If everybody, if we get enough that everybody can volunteer one night a season, then instead of someone having to do it 20 times, everybody can do it one time. So we're just really putting the call out for two things right now, which is, three things really, that we're open first and foremost to the homeless community, that we are in the giving spree and would love to have donations given to us, and we need overnight volunteers. If anyone's on the fence, don't really know if that's something that works for them, it is very simple, and it's just a matter of listening. It's just a matter of most nights you go there at 8:15, you leave by 7 in the morning, you have a cot, and it's just listening to our guests, hearing what they're going through, and just being a friend. And it's very rewarding. When you give, you get so much more than when you take, and I think our volunteers are wonderful, and I think that they just get warm and fuzzy, for lack of a better word, from what they do.
Debbie, you do amazing work, and we thank you.
We're lucky to be able to do the work. It's a shame that we need such facilities as Gettysburg Cares, but yet we are on the receiving end once it's completed.
Debbie Little, Director of Operations for Gettysburg Cares, thank you so much for your time.
Well, and thank you.
This is Zeb Eckert reporting for Community Media.